Welcome back to Purpose. I'm your host, Corie Clark. Thanks so much for tuning in today, you guys. I'm so excited because it is officially launch week for my book, The Simplicity Project. And we have updated it and revised it, and it is available for you to purchase at simplicityprojectbook.com. And today I am sharing a little bit more about how the book came to be and how I fully stepped into my purpose. So I've got a few little secrets that I've learned along the way that I am sharing with you today. And then make sure at the end of the episode, I will give you all the details on how you can go through the Simplicity Challenge with me. It's a 28-day challenge. It's in the book. It's available in the back of the book. So order your copy at simplicityprojectbook.com, and I will share all the details about the challenge in this episode. I'm so excited because today is launch day for my book, The Simplicity Project. Yes, I did already write that book in 2014, but we have updated it and revised it, and now it was out of print for a while. We were just selling a digital version, and I just thought I need to bring it back. There are too many people that are overwhelmed and exhausted and not fully stepping into their purpose, and so I just really felt like God telling me to bring it back. So we made some updates and revisions. It's the meat of the book is still the same, but obviously my life has changed a lot since I originally wrote the book. And so I wanted to incorporate some of that and share how actually what I went through when I actually went through the Simplicity Project for myself, how that completely changed my life. So I want to share with you guys a few of those things today because I feel like there are so many women, especially in this community of women who are wanting to live on purpose and with intention. A lot of you have shared with me that you just, you don't know where to start, or you feel like you don't have enough time, or you don't have the capacity. And so I just wanted to share some of what helped me to step into my purpose. And a lot of it has to do with what is in this book. So if you haven't gotten yours yet, you can go to simplicityprojectbook.com and grab your copy. It is on Amazon too, so if that's easier for you. But if you get it off my website, off simplicityprojectbook.com, there is some extra bonuses that you get with it, and you get to join. I have like a separate community just for the women who are going through this. We are actually starting a challenge together. In the back of the book, there is a 28-day challenge to help you start implementing what is in the book. And we're going to go through that together starting on August 22nd, August 22nd as a group. So get your book, get in the group. When you buy your book through simplicityprojectbook.com, you will get a link to join that group so that you can be in there with us. We'll go through the challenge together and start simplifying our lives. But basically, what it comes down to is in 2013, I really felt like God was like calling me into something more. And I don't know if you've ever struggled with this, where I was fully content with my life. This was not like, oh, I don't feel like we have enough. I don't feel satisfied in my marriage or with my kids. It was not that at all, because I was totally happy and content, but I felt God calling me to step into something more, to step into something deeper with Him, to help bring other women alongside of me who needed to wake up out of this slumber, right? I felt like everywhere I looked, people were just sleepwalking through life. And I had this passion to help wake these other women out of this slumber, because I felt like routine just kind of was the same for everybody, right? You get up, you do the thing, you take care of the kids, you take them to school, you go to work, whatever that looks like for you. It's just day in and day out, and nothing really ever comes of it, right? And I didn't want to get to the end of my life and be like, was there more? Was there more I should have done? And so I started being obedient to those things that I felt like God was calling me to. And even though I didn't know what that was going to look like, right? I just started being obedient, and I started writing blog posts and sharing online with people what I was passionate about, and it started inspiring other women as well. But the problem is my life was so chaotic and not crazy, right? Some of you know this who've been on this journey with me. Like, from the outside looking in, no one probably would have even thought anything was wrong. Honestly, nothing was wrong. I was like the average, American lifestyle, just keeping up with the Joneses, doing the daily grind. But it felt chaotic. Our schedule was too full. We had clutter in our home, and not hoarder status or anything, but just stuff, right? Because we had kids and we homeschooled and we lived in our house. Like, we weren't just gone 40 hours a week and then home on the weekends. We were doing stuff in our house every single day. And so, the house was a mess, and we weren't really focusing on our health because we just really didn't have the time, or we didn't have the energy, and our finances were like a mess. And it was just like this keeping up, right? Like keeping up every week. Just, I'm sure that a lot of you have felt this, right? And so I knew something needed to change, and I knew I could not continue to pursue these dreams that God had put in my heart if I kept living that way. I knew something had to change. And so I sat down and I made a list of all the things, like things I needed to do, the things I actually wanted for my life, right? What did I want my relationship with my husband to look like? And what did I want my relationship with my kids to look like? And what did I want my health to look like? And what did I want my home to look like? What did I want my finances to look like? And once I knew what I wanted in those areas, that is when I came up with the Simplicity Project. I came up with a plan to start simplifying each of those areas, because the problem is if one of those areas of your life is a little bit a mess, it's going to start to bleed into other areas, right? So when you don't have time, if your time is stretched super thin, and that's going to help, or that's not going to help, that's going to actually hinder other areas. You don't have time to go home and cook a healthy meal for your kids, so you hit the drive-through, and so then that makes your health suffer, and then that also can make your finances suffer. So when each area might not seem like it's horrible, but it can affect the other areas. And so I knew I needed to just create a little bit of margin, a little bit of breathing room in each of those areas. And that's what I started to do. And you guys, I found that just doing the tiniest small changes actually made huge impact on my life and helped create that space that I needed. It helped create that peace that I needed, and gave me freedom to actually pursue the things that God was asking me to do. And so there's a few things that actually were kind of aha moments and things that I think would actually help you guys. And it's not necessarily organizing your house or, getting rid of all the clutter. That's not it. That might be part of it for you, but everybody has a little bit different part of their life that they are struggling in, or that they feel a little overwhelmed in, right? And so you have to figure out what that is for you first. But no matter what it is for you, there are three almost secrets that I learned that really helped me make this change in my life. And the first one is, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do any of this perfect. You just have to do a little bit. Okay. You don't have to fold your clothes into tiny squares. You don't have to talk to the things you're getting rid of and thank them for their service. Like, that is a little weird, in my opinion. And you don't have to, be like Martha Stewart. That is not what simplicity is about. And so learning that I didn't have to do it perfect, I could just start and do something a little bit messy and just get it done. I could make little changes, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, little tiny tweaks in my health, little tiny tweaks in our finances. And that those little things, even though they were not done perfectly, because I didn't know what I was doing, they still made a huge impact. And so I think so many of us, especially women, we get held up by perfectionism. And we don't want to start going through our closet because we want it to be perfect when we're done, and we want everything color coordinated, and we want new clothes, and we want the perfect bins. Like, stop letting like this perfect picture you have in your head keep you from actually making like a small change that could bring you so much freedom. Okay, so that first one is like, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to, none of this. Like, there is no definition of perfect, especially when it comes to simplifying your life. It's just figuring out what is overwhelming you and start making those tiny, tiny changes. Like, I'm serious, they're so small. And the Simplicity Project, like the challenge that we're going through in a couple weeks together, for those of you that have the book, like, each of those days, there's 28 days, and it's little tiny things that like take 15 minutes, and you will see that those little things can actually make a big difference. Okay, so the second kind of secret that I learned is that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Okay. I think about those like extreme makeover shows, and they go into these people's houses who are hoarders. And honestly, like, if that's you, this is like, there is like zero shame or judgment. My problem with them doing these like extreme makeovers is they don't last, because you haven't gone through any kind of process to figure out why you're hanging on to these things, right? So I don't like the all or nothing changes. I like the small. Okay. So if you need to start making some room in your finances, what are like 2 things that you can cut out of your spending to give yourself a little cushion? Or what's one thing you can do to start making more money? You don't have to sell everything, right? Or you don't have to go add like 2 new jobs to your schedule so that then you're gone, 80 hours a week. This is about finding those little things. And so I feel like when people try to do these extreme makeovers, whether it's in their health or in simplifying their home or in their finances or whatever it is, when you try to do that much at once, it's actually like you're not even thinking about the other parts of your life, right? If you spent a whole week trying to simplify your house, like, what else are you going to not be paying attention to while you're focused on that? And then, so to me, there is like this balance to doing a little bit, like making sure you're focusing a little bit on your home, but that you are still focusing on your relationship with your spouse and with your kids, and making sure that you're not neglecting your health at the same time. So that's why I just don't like those all or nothing. And a lot of the programs out there to help you simplify or declutter are exactly that. Like, they're huge overhauls, and you might see a big change in like 3 days, but those changes are less likely to last. And that's why you have to go through and figure out what you want your life as a whole to look like. It's not just about what you want your finances to look like or what you want your home to look like. It's what you want your entire life to look like, and creating that space and capacity to actually step into what God has called you to do. And then the last thing is, when you feel like you don't know how it's all going to work out. So I still don't know. I don't know what my life's going to look like at the end of this year. I don't know what my life's going to look like in 10 years. I certainly didn't know when I wrote this book in 2014 that it would lead to creating a planner, that it would lead to starting a podcast, to having a membership where I coach other women in business, to having a mastermind. I didn't know any of that. Okay. So I didn't know what the end was going to look like, but I knew that God was asking me to do little things, and I was obedient with those little things. And as I started, working out what it was God was asking me to do, taking action, then I would get clarity and know what the next step was. But I promise you, I had no idea that simplifying my life so that I could step into my purpose and be obedient to God, I had no idea that it was going to lead to a business. I had no idea that I was going to be able to connect with so many amazing women in this community and in my business community. It's just completely changed my life. And so I think so many times we can get caught up with, I could have been frozen in this, like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. And, I don't know what'll happen if I write a book. And is that just going to be it? And then nothing else is going to happen. I mean, maybe. What if you do that thing God's asking you to do and nothing else comes of it? There's no way of knowing unless you actually do it. Okay. So I think when you can learn to have a big dream for the future and know what God's asking you to do, if you feel those nudges and you're kind of like, I don't know, I'm not sure, is this God? You actually have to start taking action on it to figure out if it is or not, and to figure out if something will come of it. Because when you take that action, no matter what, when you don't know what's going to happen on the other side of that action, when you take that action, that is when you're going to get clarity and you're going to start seeing that path laid out before you. And so there's this tension between having a big dream and vision of what could be and then what actually plays out, and being okay with that. But I promise, when you're being obedient and you're doing what you feel God is calling you to do, you will start to get that clarity. The way you won't get that clarity is just by sitting and wondering about it and not doing anything, or sitting and waiting and praying and hoping something falls in your lap. You have to take action. Okay, so those were kind of my big takeaways from going from I have this idea and I have this dream that I feel like God is calling me to, into stepping fully into it. And it's a daily thing I have to do, you guys. This is not like a one and done. And I think that's the beauty of this life, is we have no idea how it's going to turn out. But when we can continue to follow the dreams that God has put in our heart, that's usually like what your purpose is. It's what you're passionate about. It's the dreams you have. It's how you help people. And you keep doing that and you keep doing that. And God will keep opening the right doors and closing the ones that you're not supposed to go through. And so there's this balance of like having so much faith and then taking messy action and not worrying about it being perfect, not knowing how it's going to turn out, and just taking those little baby steps. And so when I did that and I went through this simplicity project, it created so much time and freedom, because not even necessarily time like in hours. It's hard to explain, because when you are so overwhelmed, it freezes you. And you end up feeling like you don't have time, or feeling like you don't have the energy, when you actually do. And so as I started to create space in each of those areas, in our health and our home and our finances and our time, that was when I started to create momentum in my purpose and started seeing the fruit of that in, the book selling, and people asking for a planner and creating a planner, and the planner selling out, and now being able to help coach women to help them do the same thing, to turn what they're passionate about and turn their purpose into a business. And so I hope that this helps you. This isn't anything like new or profound. It's not a secret way to simplify your life or clean your house. But I do think it is a little bit secret because so many people try to put it like this formula together for their house or for their time. And what it really comes down to is you have to know what it is that's stopping you. So, is it your health? Like, are you not taking care of yourself? Are you exhausted? Are you not moving your body and getting enough sleep at night? Are you completely overwhelmed because your house is full of clutter? And so then that kind of like makes your mind full of clutter, right? What is it for you? Figure out what that is and start making little baby changes in that part of your life and really start to create that margin. And um, I've been saying this since I first wrote the book 7, 8 years ago, is when you create margin in your life, that is where God can move. If you're stretched too thin right now, God cannot use you to the capacity that he has created you for. And so when you create that margin in your life, you are going to have room for more of God, for miracles. And there are miracles in the margin, I promise you. If you create that margin, God can step into that place and start to do what he has ordained you to do, what he's asked you to do, and then you can work together on it. But if you're the only person that can actually choose to live that kind of life, you're the only person who can start saying no to some things, to make some space in your schedule, or to start saying no to some spending to make some room in your budget, whatever it is, that one area. And you probably know right now, as I'm talking, you know what it is. And it might be 2 of them. It might be 3 of them. It might be all of them. It was all of them for me. So, and like I said, none of them were completely out of control, but I was stretched thin enough in each of those areas that it was actually like crippling me from stepping into my purpose. So figure out what those areas are for you. Take imperfect action. Don't worry about knowing how it's going to end up a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now. And don't feel like you have to give your life this crazy overhaul right now. Just choose one tiny thing to work on for 15 minutes. And then tomorrow, work on it a little bit more. And the next day, a little bit more. All right, you guys, I hope that has helped inspire you to create that margin in your life so that you can step into your purpose, because I know that you were created on purpose for a purpose and you are fully capable of living that out. So don't believe the lies anymore that it's not for you, that you're not capable, because you are, and start believing and trusting God that he has something bigger for you and that you can, through him, do it. All right, you guys. So if you haven't grabbed your book yet, go to simplicityprojectbook.com. Isn't the new cover pretty? It's so pretty. I don't know if I have the other one sitting here I can show you, but anyways, it needed a little update. So I feel like this goes with my brand better. And so go to simplicityprojectbook.com, grab your copy, and we will start in a private simplicity group on August 22nd. We're going to go through the 28-day challenge. Like I said, it's in the back of the book. We added like space in here. It's fun because one of the changes we made was we added, sorry, I'm trying to find it. Oh my goodness. Like at the end of the chapters, we added space for you guys to work through some of the stuff. So anyways, I think you're going to love it. And even if you already had the original one, then you might want to get the updated one, because we do have that stuff in there and we're going to go through the challenge together. So I'm really excited, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks so much for listening, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. I will be back next week with a brand new episode. Make sure that you grab your book at simplicityprojectbook.com. I've got the link in the show notes. That way you can join us in the Simplicity Challenge that starts on August 22nd. So that group is available to people who purchase the book. So Go to simplicityprojectbook.com, order your book. You will get an email confirmation with a link to that group and all of the details to get your bonuses as well. So have a great week, you guys, and I will see you back here next week on purpose.